Don't miss this demo. That's right. This is a comedic skit that blends in fun software demonstrations, including previews of what's to come in SOLIDWORKS later this year. Join us now as the tech marketing team weaves a whodunit that could happen to, well, any of us.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chad here, live streaming on all things Extrudo.
Extrudo, Extreme Engineering Energy.
Yeah, today we are covering fails from the 4th annual Extrudo Cup. Just moments ago, a wicked wreck from the MVP Corp team on the very first corner. The team owner, the so-called masked billionaire, yet to make any public statement ever. And you know, Chad, he has his theory on who's behind the mask, but more on that tomorrow. But for right now, be sure to like, subscribe, and drink your Extrudo!
Extrudo, Extreme Engineering Energy.
A little help here, bro? My arm is still super jacked. I mean, I couldn't even watch my climb video this morning.
It's a little early for an Extrudo, isn't it, Andy?
Mike, I can't sleep. And how exactly did we crash on the first corner? I mean, my FEA results were flawless, man.
4 years, 4 failures. My CSWE is being wasted here, people.
Yeah, we all need to be reassigned off this project. You know, maybe this crash was a good thing.
Happy Monday!
Oh, Brenda, you know this is the designer's lounge. No interns allowed, even if it's been, what, 5 years?
Listen, just because I haven't killed a tree printing out business cards doesn't mean that ownership hasn't tasked me with keeping you on track. Does anyone want an Extrudo?
I guess it is almost lunchtime. Toss me a Boolean blast.
Sure. Sweet feature tea.
Extreme Engineering Energy.
Speaking of ownership, he sent me an email this morning. It says all the design team is going to have a lunch and learn. Everyone is to present. TTFN.
Don't we have real work to do? Seriously, this masked billionaire doesn't even know what we do here at MVP Corp. And why has no one ever even met this guy?
Oh, I just got the invite. You are presenting FEA results. Bruh, have you seen my presenting arm?
Mine says demonstrate new features in SOLIDWORKS 2025.
I got one too. Part numbering and custom properties. It is strange, though, that we all got different emails. Hey, maybe if I order a pizza, anyone not cool with shrooms and pineapple? Okay, confirmed.
Hey, dude, where's the pizza?
Yeah, you're not the pizza guy.
Oh, son, the only thing I'm here to deliver are some results. Let me explain. Dear Reynard Rouge, by now you have no doubt seen the MVP Corp fail trending on all the socials. Someone on the team is surely sabotaging our Extrudo Cup pursuit. I need you to conduct a full post-mortem toot sweet. Do not bring pizza. Indeed, it is I, the world-famous CAD detective, Reynard Rouge. Now, I'm gonna need you all to surrender your badges, and further, there shall be no bowel breaks until we discover the culprit.
Hi, I'm the manager here, Mike.
Assistant manager.
Oh, come on.
I mean, obviously this isn't my fault. No, I don't know why the front end collapsed. And yes, I simulated that exact cornering condition.
Little defensive, even for an analyst. Andy, was it? Why don't you show us your results?
Well, like, I totally would, but, you know.
Tell you what, mesh this.
Aha! I knew you were faking this whole time.
So what? You know, pride can hurt too. Is it supposed to tingle like that?
It's the new Extrudo, Weld Mint.
Kind of tastes like slag.
Son, if you would just show us your studies, we could just put this whole thing to bed.
Listen, I didn't do anything wrong here. You know, you guys, someone sabotaged us, and you guys are always asking me to present my results, and you never...
Calm down, and as we said, just show us what you got, please. Now, proceed.
You know, check it out, dudes. I posted all this to our dashboard. These are the explicit results from hitting the barrier while in a 90-degree turn at high speed. Pretty much a worst-case scenario, which just happens to be the exact same cornering condition that we crashed. Ouch. See? Minimum factor of safety was 1.5. With Simulia's powerful explicit dynamic solver, my setup was super simple. I built a barrier, I clamped it in place, I set the car to hit at 5 meters a second. No, I do not use miles per hour because I'm a scientist. I know, this looks kind of bad, but that's just the outer shell deforming. It's totally cosmetic. I'd even say the front end was over-designed. From what I simulated, nothing predicted the crash response. The frame and my results, they were totally solid.
Now, what did you mean were solid?
Well, they were until Eric made that last-minute revision to the front end, and I didn't have time to run the studies all over again because my laptop, it's older than Eric's tie. I put in 6 IT requests for a new machine, and they denied them all 6 times.
But now, what about the cloud? Surely you got credits or tokens so you could use that solver.
Oh, well, that's a great idea, and Mike was supposed to order some, but they never showed up.
Hold up. I was tasked with lightweighting the front end and making significant changes at the last minute. How could we not validate them?
Now, son, hang on a second. You said significant and last minute. Now, Eric, that's never a good recipe for CAD casserole.
Not that I need Andy's validation, but let me just show you what I did. I remember it like it was yesterday. This task says to lightweight the frame. I thought heavier cars were faster, but hey, I'm not the project manager here. 38 pounds, this is gonna be easy with SOLIDWORKS 2025. I'll just drop in one of my favorite blocks on this plate and, I hate it when the sketch color matches the material. With 2025, I can change the color from the right-click menu. Now I can see it even without my glasses on. This is a good start, but I can do better. In SOLIDWORKS 2025, the chamfer tool adopts the selection shortcuts from the fill command. That was quick. Ouch, these sharp edges might injure Andy's delicate rock climbing legs. In my new version of SOLIDWORKS, I can round them off, even though they are 2 separate bodies. Nice, bro. I'll use assembly visualization to check my work. In SOLIDWORKS 2025, I can assign specific colors, which makes it easy to see which components have no material applied. Sorting by mass, I can see that I've reduced the weight by 20%.
Now, what's that there at the top? It looks bigger than a Texas sunset.
Wait an inch, pound second. This component is massive. I'll use the new roll-up feature in 2025 to isolate it. Red herring bearing. Who did this? Mike, have you been in my metadata again?
Wow, that is a lot of drama. There is a lot of drama on this team, but also a lot of great demos. And we are going to see them again tomorrow for Act 2 of Splines Out. So I hope you'll be there.
Wise up, everybody. Whoa! 1 million views overnight of the Extrudo Cup fails coverage? Chad thanks you all. I saw Ben Lofton commented, what's up with the Extrudo stock price this morning? Up 10%? There goes all shorts. Well, Ben, that's the power of social media, and that's the power of Chad. What's bad for MVP Corp might be good for Extrudo. Just take a look at those tickers.
And now, Eric, would you be able to use some of those fine SOLIDWORKS skills you're always talking about to help us investigate further?
Sure, no problem, Rhaegar. That red herring bearing just doesn't make sense. Further proof that I'm being set up. And if someone has tampered with our car, it will definitely show up in the assembly drawing. Oh, dangling dimensions? Well, maybe a quick reload. SOLIDWORKS 2025 now offers the ability to reload a drawing document, just like with part and assembly files. Okay, but that didn't solve these danglers. With 2025, this is no problem. You can highlight any dangling dimension and use the new automatic repair tool to reattach. This also works for sketches as well. Maybe this detail view will have some clues. Yes, this is interesting. A display state for a red herring bearing? There it is. Are these bearings reported in the BOM? Let me check the reference configuration. No, this is wrong. No wonder we didn't see it before. Someone has definitely been tampering with this. Check this out, Bernard. In 2025, you can now filter and organize your bill of materials by configuration and display states. As great as that capability is, this drawing smells really fishy to me.
So there are design changes by Eric, lack of validation by Andy, and a drastic update to the product structure by Mike. Suspicious, quite, but do any of these constitute intentional sabotage?
Who's ready to really ramp up this lunch and learn? Extrudo just released its holiday surplus pomegranate. I've got quantities.
Anything but weld mint. Ugh.
Pomegranate? I suppose. Listen, Mike, adding that red herring bearing, that's one thing. Haha, right? But modifying the frame, that could have easily caused our crash.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't run sim on that.
Mike, I think now is a good time for us to take a look at your bomb. Care to defuse this?
Listen, Eric, you didn't use my part numbering, nor did you fill out any of my custom properties. I definitely modified some of the metadata, but I never touched your geometry.
Well, here's a chance for you to prove your innocence.
Let me take you back through what I did. Eric had submitted an update to his front-end design. We were all super busy with tasks, but the chassis was a priority, so I reviewed it first. Inside the task, the updated revision was attached as a deliverable. And honestly, after reviewing the chassis, it looked spot on. I even added a comment for Eric telling him my feelings. As a manager, I know his ego needs those boosts to stay motivated. I moved the task to 75%, and he still needed to provide the updated simulation results. But I did freeze the frame to make sure no further CAD changes could be made. The two other tasks I tackled that day shouldn't have affected the structure or caused the crash. Part numbers needed to be generated for a bunch of items, and the vendor information for the wheels also had to be changed out. Since I guess we were making a switch, I thought that was a little weird. Luckily, these types of tasks don't take long with 3D Experience. With the change from our current vendor, Derby Pro Racer, I had to check what parts would be affected and verify that there wasn't anything else that our new vendor couldn't supply. The last thing we needed was a hiccup in our procurement process with these long lead items. The visualization showed that it was indeed just the wheel assemblies, which the new vendor, Extrudo Race Supply, would easily be able to provide. Now, we do try to track our vendor and manufacturing metadata closely, but sometimes, Eric, some of us forget. Eric. So I made the change. Grouping the entire product structure by vendor makes it really easy to update all of the custom properties too. And just to make sure I wasn't missing anything, a quick refresh shows the changes were made. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now my next task was to assign part numbers to all of these items. So I grouped my items with and without numbers, and then just select the items with the missing part numbers. It's really easy to generate and assign all new part numbers. I clearly remember that all of those went to a frozen state as well, at least until the final approvals could be done using our approval route. Come to think of it, there's no way a revision of the chassis can be made without going through our standard approval processes. Let me look at the revisions. Yeah, this is disturbing. All of these branches and additional revisions and a name change? I would remember that. This all looks really fishy to me. Where's my compare? Let's compare the revision that Eric was working on versus the released one. Uh-oh, this doesn't make any sense. It's showing me as the owner, and I can't even remember the last time I actually opened SOLIDWORKS. No way I did this. All of the structural support on the front end has been completely undermined. Eric, this is below plan work. Definitely not approved.
No way. That's not how I would have modeled that at all.
Well, then, you wouldn't be opposed to showing us how you would model it then, would you?
I just so happen to have a branch with my superior design right here. Now, I prefer to use structure systems instead of weldments. It's easier to use and update. Instead of 3D sketches, I use simple solid and surface geometry, or even planes. You guys are all gonna love this. Setting up these planes was easy now that you can pattern planes and axes in 2025. Even better, you can now specify instances to vary as an offset from another instance rather than having to calculate the distance from the seed. That makes a lot more sense in this context. And look at how clean this feature tree is. I started with my base geometry and used that to create the frame. I added some gussets for strength and a brand new front end design. There's still some work left to do, but I think this is a solid start. Now, Mike, I know how much you love your properties. It seems obvious to me that these members are going to be cut on the bandsaw, but I'll add a property just for you. In SOLIDWORKS 2025, I really don't mind since copying cut list properties to all items is now possible. This saves a ton of time. These sheet metal components aren't going to be cut on the bandsaw though, so let's change that for these 4 items with a quick overwrite. You got to give me mad props for that one, boss. This sheet metal part is almost complete, but I've been struggling to communicate my bend areas to the shop. Not anymore. With SOLIDWORKS 2025, I can add bend notches to the flat pattern, so it's easy for them to line up the part in the press brake. And don't worry, Andy, I've got something for you too, and it just so happens to be my favorite feature in 2025 so far, the ability to configure the structure's profiles. This makes it a snap to create different variants for your FEA analysis. You won't need to rappel down from Analysis Mountain to bother us lowly designers anymore.
That is quite the speedy design work, Eric, but it's hard to tell just by looking if your new design is better or worse.
Reynard, I got this. Move. Dude, there's no way that your design would have survived, and I can prove it. Let's see if it can withstand what we throw at it using SOLIDWORKS simulation. I'll make this simple so even you can understand it. Notice how the structure system geometry automatically becomes a jointed beam model. Sweet. First, I'll add some fixtures where the wheels and suspension meet the frame. And now for the loading. Bro, these are high performance machines, so they need to withstand 5 Gs of side loading when cornering. Boom. Now let's run this linear static analysis. No way. That's even worse than I thought. Red is bad, Eric. Minimum factor safety is 0.6. That's a total failure, bro. You're still not convinced, huh? Okay, cool. Well, let's see how this thing responds to harmonic loading. Well, to save time, I'll copy my study to a dynamic analysis. All my fixtures and connections go along for the ride. Sick. Now to add a base excitation. Rolling over gravel at high speed creates vibrations typically between 50 and 100 hertz. And now, in Simulation 2025, I can specify those areas on the response spectrum. That means additional harmonic mode shapes right where I need them. Oh, well, look at that. It's Galloping Gertie. With that type of frame deflection, you'd lose all steering control. That's interesting, since that's exactly why we crashed. But like, we were totally thrown from this car, bro. From the harmonic response, we get a pretty good idea about what would happen to us if we were riding in it. All of the chairs are connected to the floor with springs. To accurately represent them, I'll use the new Abacus-powered orthotropic spring connector. With Simulation 2025, not only can I control the axial stiffness, but also the directions of lateral, torsional, and bending stiffnesses as well. All right, and run. Wow, your new frame turned our chairs into ejector seats, bro. And don't think I missed this result. The fundamental frequency, it corresponds exactly to my cornering speeds. What's going on here, Eric? Have you been spying on me at the track too?
The frequency has to be a coincidence. I can't imagine that anyone is down at the go-kart track meticulously clocking each of Andy's lap times.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if I did have a fan club, but irregardless, whoever changed the frame, they're the ones who's responsible for sabotaging us and breaking my belay arm.
Your arm is fine.
Almost breaking my belay arm. It still hurts.
Okay, let's circle back. Whoever made the change to the primary structure assembly and the frame, well, it's got to be one of us.
That change, as you call it, that's not at all what my feature tree looked like. It couldn't have been me.
Yes, but it is possible that you modeled it in such an amateur fashion so as to throw someone off of the trail.
Well, you know, it definitely wasn't me. I'm much more of a mesh and run what I get kind of dude.
You know, there's only 2 of us who have permissions to approve the final route stage to get it to released.
Maybe we're overthinking this. Someone, not saying who, got ambitious in his lightweighting and didn't rename his feature tree. Someone else released a new revision before, who could it be, could resolve the backlog of geometry changes. You know, Reynard, I think these are good lessons learned for the team as they get started on next year's car.
Brenda, a tempting conclusion that chalks this up as overhead of a typical team, but frankly, I think this team deserves a lot more credit for how proficiently they use SOLIDWORKS and 3D Experience.
Does anyone need a bio break?
No. I think that there's something more nefarious afoot here, something that ties all this together.
What's up, everybody? Now, I know you can't see through these shades, but these are real tears that Chad is crying. 10 million views. 10 million views on my Extrudo Cup coverage. But I am shocked. I just heard from Extrudo that your boy Chad is not getting renewed. No sponsorship? No non-disclosure. Chad knows too much. Yeah, come closer. I started following shell corporations to holding companies, to offshore accounts. And this next part, it is blowing my mind. I find a registration with ownership of Extrudo and MVP Corp, both as MB. Who's MB, you ask? The masked billionaire? They had the exact same signature. And guess what? There's an address. And we're gonna head over there right now. Let's go.
Can y'all see my tablet okay? Right. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly turn your attention to my lean board in the case of the Extrudo Cup crash. Just which members of this MVP team are responsible will soon become apparent. Now, Andy had motive. He has had 6 hardware denials and last-minute changes, enough to drive any of us into a caffeine-fueled mania. He was driving, and he might be extreme enough to pilot to his own doom. However, I see nothing but focus in his driving. Note his hands at the classic 10 and 2. Now, while his arm broken turned out to be a fake, was it willful deceit or a personal overreaction? Elk, we all agree your initial lightweight into the front end is fine work. Did you go too far and undermine the structural integrity in another revision? I will say Elk certainly appears surprised by the crash. In fact, from the outside, the final car doesn't look sabotaged at all. Perhaps no one knew what he was stepping into on race day. Mike, maybe you want such a mellow mushroom squawking like a plucked hen about incomplete metadata. Note that Mike barely bumped his little old knee, safely cushioned behind his team. Now, were those red herring bearings a managerial attempt at humor or a distraction to your real changes? The culprit knew their way around a collaborative space. Of that, I am certain. Trying to outfox Reynard behind a thicket of branches and merges. Already, we have more problems here than a hunting dog has fleas, but let's just cut to the chase. Who changed the structure and who approved the release? And what are we to make of this extrudo stuff? This goes way beyond the crash at the Cup. And as always, these influencer channels, y'all been following Chad? He's speculating that MVP, Extrudo, and the masked billionaire are tied up in this all together. MB, one and the same as my employer. If only we had more time. Alas, let's just bring this home and answer the most immediate question with the simple drag and drop of the product structure here to the place, and we're gonna...
Excuse me, sorry, Reynard, but this just arrived. It's virtually cold carbonated and still in beta. They gave me an entire keg of the new sweet and sour.
Sweet! Brenda's got the Extrudo R&D hookup.
Does anyone know how to tap one of these?
I'm the beta tester around here.
No,
I can handle it.
I got this. Bro, you just get the cups.
I already
No, I want this. No,
Time out.
this. I feel like
Freeze! Obviously, we all know who the culprit is here, but for the sake of alignment, could you fill us all in, please?
Well, recall, if you will, the masked billionaire's instructions were everyone expected to present. Now, who here has yet to show his or her work?
Oh, I don't think he meant everyone. I'm just the intern, remember?
Humor me for a moment, will you? And log in and show us your dashboard.
It is mostly GIFs and memes and swim, you know, standard work stuff.
I don't think so, Brenda. Everything there is Extrudo.
How about that sweet and sour, huh? Let's get your taste buds twisted along a path, right?
Brenda, what is Eric talking about?
All right, fine, you got me. I'm a huge Extrudo fangirl, okay? Ever since my first sip 5 years ago, I have been hooked. Plus, it's an amazing company.
Now, according to Wikipedia, it's a terrible company on the verge of bankruptcy ever since inception, and Wall Street has called it the worst niche product since the reversible toilet.
Wrong! It's delicious and fully constrained. And somewhere out there right now, thousands of designers are gathered in places like Dallas, in desperate need of CAD-specific refreshment.
No, I don't think there's any hope for that. In fact, I don't see how Extrudo's ownership can sleep at night. Never mind all the caffeine.
We sleep just fine.
We? Is she saying what I think she's saying?
Brenda, are you telling us?
Bro, what is going on right now?
Ha! You haven't even seen the boost we got from the Extrudo Cup this weekend.
Oh, frankly, my dear, I'd love to see that boost.
Look at our top line revenue. And during Cup season every year, we actually make an operating income. With this year's buzz, we're looking at triple-digit growth, baby. Have you seen the markets? Extrudo's up 14%. You MVP guys are tough. You'll survive to design another day. There are tailwinds helping us here. Semi-sophisticated consumers, like you three, are tired of big beverage. Global sentiment on caffeine is at an all-time positive. And regions like Northern Europe are especially peppy right now. In April, we're breaking ground in Belize. We'll be serving every designer around the globe and around the clock. With my factory layout already complete, there might even be enough room for quality control this time. But guys, seriously, this investigation is blocking my critical path to expansion, and I do hate breaking a dependency. How about the new flavors in our pipeline? Rainbow Crash. With flavor like this, we must be living in a simulation. Philip Fruit Punch, a well-rounded and perfect finish to everything. Lemon Live, tart yet sweet. Sub Delight, sculpted around virtual oranges. And what's the most critical component of a plan? Social media strategy. The Cup was always the focal point for this. We would get massive coverage of the brightest minds competing in a well-hydrated engineering nirvana.
But that's not how the real world works, is it?
No, it was the video of the fails that went viral each year. Luckily, this did miracles for our brand awareness. And you three were always crowd favorites. We've revamped our influencer program and signed channels like Crazy Cad Kevin, Sheet Metal Sharon. If you aren't following them, your kids probably are. And this year, we break out of the Danny Dozen Cans demographic. Soon, we'll be on tap in every client boardroom and reseller office across the globe. My only hope for triple-digit growth was to get more attention on the brand. Unfortunately for you, that meant more crashes at the cup.
How did an intern do all that? I didn't even think they got paid.
I think it's been in front of us all along. Isn't that right, Brenda MB? MB, masked billionaire.
Stupid name. Fine, you got me again. And MVP Corp? Yeah, I own this too.
Whoa. So you're like totally loaded, huh?
5 years ago, I thought it would be fun to see what engineers do. You know, like an undercover boss. Turned out the only thing interesting was your massive thirst for energy drinks. That's when I leveraged everything and bought the controlling shares in Extrudo.
And now here we are. So far, all this makes sense, except why hire me? Why this investigation?
Reynard, 4 years of crashes on the same first corner, and the board starts to ask questions. You were supposed to pin this on these three clowns half an hour ago.
But you hired the best, Reynard Rouge.
Yeah, right. So plan B was no bio breaks, and I figured I'd fill them up on Extrudo until...
Until one of them just confessed so they could go pee. Genius.
Hey, wise up, everybody. It's your boy Chad, live. Excuse me, miss. Aren't you Brenda MB, masked billionaire?
Listen, Scooby-Doo, they've already figured it out.
Oh, dang it. Cut.
Oh, that may be, but you know, there's still 100 million viewers out there have yet to hear any of this fantastic story.
100 million? Chad, was it? You look very different in person.
Chad's really let himself go.
Let's talk about that sponsorship renewal of yours. What is your favorite flavor?
Weldment. I love the slag.
Well, I think this means that we're all off the project.
Works for me.
Righteous. Pizza delivery. I got 2 large room and pineapple.
Mike.
Yes.
Yuck. Anyway, what do we do with all this Extrudo?
Well, I guess I could, like, take it home and drink it.
Well, this team may have lost a race, but they won the day by going through this together. They have each other, they have SOLIDWORKS, and they have the 3D Experience platform. Only thing to do now is to wait for the next opportunity worthy of the world-famous CAD detective, Reynard Rouge. In the meantime, might I suggest you pick up a copy of my new book, Reynard's Guide to Finding CAD Clues Within Yourself.
Or I, as your resident SOLIDWORKS expert, could show you some new features in SOLIDWORKS. After all, this was supposed to be a lunch and learn. I have to show some new features from sheet metal, sketch, and assemblies to feel complete inside. In SOLIDWORKS 2025, there have been some great enhancements added to the sketcher. This e-bike assembly needs to have an accurate representation of the hydraulic brake lines. In the past, starting with a 2D sketch would have left us with an inaccurate path and incomplete connections. Soon, users can convert 2D sketches to 3D with a simple click. Modifying this path is even easier than before. The sketch triad can now be activated on spline points with a double click. This really streamlines positioning complex 3D splines. Tab and slot design means more simplicity and precision for the shop. Not only is the UI simplified in 2025, but there's a new spacing option that will align your slots to the center of the edge, allowing you to build your tab and slot system from the inside out. SOLIDWORKS has long offered multiple options for working with large assemblies. One that I use the most is Large Design Review, or LDR. In SOLIDWORKS 2025, more capabilities are available when using LDR. For example, breadcrumb navigation, which makes it super fast to pick the right component. 2025 expands LDR further. How about we run an interference detection to scan for overlaps? I've pre-selected a subassembly to run the check. Sure enough, there is an issue with the electrical cabinet and its structure. I'll have to investigate this a bit more. Now, in 2025, LDR also supports the use of component preview. This is a side window that gives you a second view to help inspect and modify your design. Here, we can see the issue is with a misaligned hinge bracket. No problem for SOLIDWORKS 2025, since in-context edits are available when working in LDR. Editing this part in its underlying sketch is all that's needed to shift the geometry into place. Ah, this looks good. With the changes made, a quick rerun of the interference detection shows the issue has been resolved. If you aren't using LDR almost all the time, you will be with SOLIDWORKS 2025. Now, let's review some of the great enhancements we saw this week in Dallas. And keep in mind, the development team is hard at work on many, many more coming throughout this year with each service pack release. I really can't wait for the right mouse menu so I can easily modify my sketch colors. Fillets will support multi-body selections. Chamfer selections will include the selection helper. Assembly visualization introduces a roll to here shortcut and adds support for additional property colors. Drawing files will be reloaded on the fly, and dangling dimensions in drawings and sketches can now be automatically repaired. Bills of materials will offer the option to be filtered by display state. Linear patterns will support planes and axes. Structure system profiles will be configurable. Properties will be more easily copied through cut lists. Sheet metal will introduce bend notches. Simulation Premium will allow users to target specific harmonic in dynamic studies, and adds a new orthotropic spring connection. Finally, in case you haven't been taking notes, let's recap some of the 3D Experience Works roles the team used this week. I've really started to find a hankering for Boolean Blast, and through the demo, I primarily used 3D Experience SolidWorks and Collaborative Industry Innovator to keep everything organized. Exactly what you have with SolidWorks and cloud services. Mike, the manager, has fallen in love with pomegranate and keeps an extra jug in frozen state in his desk drawer. Throughout his work week, he relies on Product Release Engineer and Collaborative Industry Innovator. Andy's rock climbing pack is full of Rainbow Crash that he stole from the Extrudo R&D lab. And to get his job done, he relies on Structural Mechanics Engineer when the going gets tough, and of course, SolidWorks Simulation Premium. Reynard Rouge keeps his thirst quenched with a cold, sweet feature tea, fitting for a Southerner. And throughout the week, he kept track of all of these clues with Lean Team Player. Brenda loves the kick of extra strength over constrained. To keep her creativity flowing, she leverages 3D Swimmer. On the production side, factory flow simulation is helping her take over the world one Extrudo can at a time. And of course, with Project Planner and Social Business Analyst, without Project Planner and Social Business Analyst, Brenda would have struggled to keep her scheme on track. All right, finally, remember team, let's keep our SolidWorks updated throughout the year so we can all use the new capabilities together. Whew, these demos are making me thirsty.
I think maybe you should stick to water. Great job. Well done, everybody. Woo!